So continuing with our Python quick start, let's take a look at how conditionals work in Python. I'm going to go ahead and make a copy of this conditionals.py, and it's a good idea to work with copies. And I'm just going to name this conditionals working. We'll go ahead and open that. And there we have an example of a conditional, a very simple conditional. It's an if and an else. And you'll notice that the assignment, it's really cool in Python. You can assign multiple values at a time. So this assigns 0 to A and assigns 1 to B. And so that makes a nice little test for the conditional. If A is less than B, which it is, then it will print this. You'll also notice in Python, you do the replacement, and this is Python 3. Python 2 works differently. In Python 3, these curly braces will be replaced by the values in the format, and we'll get more into how this works exactly and some of the details of it later on when we talk about strings. But in fact, this format is a method of the string object. Any place where you have a string, it allows you to do these kinds of replacements. It's very useful. So when we run this, we'll get this one because A is less than B, unless we were to change these values, and then maybe we could get this one. So let's go ahead and run it. And I'll run it here in Eclipse, and I'll select the Python run, and there we go. A is less than B, and you see there's the values, 0 and 1. And if I change this, if I make this, say, a 5, and I save that and run it, A is not less than B anymore. So the syntax of the conditional is if, and then you have the condition, and you have a colon. And this is how blocks work in Python. You'll see this same type of syntax in loops and functions and classes where you have the colon and then you have code that's indented. So the indenting, any braces signifying a block of code. Blocks are actually called suites in the Python documentation. And they simply consist of code that is indented under the level of whatever it is that's controlling it. So here we're controlling it with a conditional, and we have the colon, and then we have this code indented. Now, 4 spaces of indenting is considered standard in Python. It's actually not required. I could make this 1 space and do the same down here, and it would still work. Save and run. But 4 is traditional, and so we're just going to go ahead and go with the tradition here. And save that and run it, and there we have it. Python also has conditional expressions. If you're familiar with any C-based languages, you'll be familiar with something that might look like this, where you would say print, and you would have a condition, A is less than B, and a question mark, and then one value, and a colon, and then another value. And if the condition were true, you would get the first one, and if the condition were false, you would get the second one. Python has something like this, but it works very differently. Here you would say foo, if A is less than B, else bar. And if I save that and run it, then we get bar because A is not less than B. And if I put this back to a 0 like we had it originally, and save and run, now we get foo because A is less than B. So this is how conditional expressions work in Python. A lot of the syntax that you'll see here is a little bit different than in other C-based languages. And that's because the designers of Python, they didn't consider themselves beholden to tradition, and instead they wanted to do things that seemed to flow better or make sense in some way. And actually, this does have its own set of reason in that you have print foo just like you would have if you didn't have a condition, and you only really care about having the condition if you have another value. And so you have this whole if-else all in one place, and it's spelled out. It's not punctuation marks that might just, be hard to remember or hard to read. It's very clear. Foo if A is less than B, else bar. It's kind of readable. So that is how conditions work in Python 3. You have the traditional if-else, and you have the conditional expressions.